This is already getting out of control. Way too fast. 2 weeks into the season, and the Toronto Blue Jays already look like an August team just trying to survive. That's not exaggeration. That's not fan panic. It's simple math. 5 starting pitchers out, 3 everyday players out, and the heaviest blow, the kind that reshapes an entire roster. Cody Ponce is basically done for the year. And here's the part nobody really wants to face head-on. This isn't just about losing a rotation arm. It's about losing stability. It's about losing predictability. It's about improvising in April when the plan was to dominate, because that was the plan. This roster was built with World Series expectations, not a wild card push, not a let's see what happens. This was supposed to be a top-tier American League contender, but 2 weeks in, it already feels like a season slipping through their fingers. And when you look at the list, Bowden Francis, Cody Ponce, Jose Barrios, Trey Yesevich, Shane Bieber. That's not just bad luck. That breaks any rotation. Any of them. Now hold on, because there's one detail here that changes everything. Cody Ponce's injury isn't minor. ACL, surgery, 6-month recovery timeline. Simple translation, 2026 is over. And when a manager like John Schneider says that without hesitation, you know internally they've already turned the page. They're not waiting for a miracle. They're thinking replacement. And this is where things get interesting, because there's a solution being discussed. This isn't random speculation. This is a name thrown out for clicks. It's Sandy Alcantara. And that completely shifts the conversation, because we're not talking about a stopgap, not a guy to eat innings until July. We're talking about a Cy Young winner, who right now looks like he's still at that level. 3 starts, 0.74 ERA, over 24 innings, 18 strikeouts, just 4 walks. That's not just good, that's dominance. And more importantly, consistency. 7 innings, 9 innings, 8 1/3. That's exactly the kind of arm a desperate team needs when the rotation collapses. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. Does Toronto's problem really get solved with just one name? Look at the context. Anthony Santander out, Alejandro Kirk out, Addison Barge out. This isn't just a rotation. The lineup is hit too. So you bring in someone like Alcantara, you strengthen the mound, but the offense is still shorthanded. Then what? You start winning 2-1 games? Because that's the path this suggests. And here's another layer. A quieter one. The contract. $56 million. In today's pitching market, that's almost a bargain, especially for a former Cy Young arm. It's not a toxic deal. It doesn't paralyze your payroll. It's manageable. And that explains why his name keeps coming up, because he doesn't just solve things on the field. He fits off it too. But what if that's not really the problem? Because every time a team goes into aggressive buyer mode too early, there's a hidden risk. Desperation. And desperation in April usually comes with a price in July, because trade value shifts. Urgency shifts, market perception shifts. Other teams know you need it, not just want it. And when you need it, you pay more. Simple as that. And the Miami Marlins know that. They've held on to Alcantara for years despite constant rumors. They didn't move him for scraps. They won't do it now just because another team is under pressure. If Toronto wants to make this move, it's going to hurt. And I'm not just talking about prospects. I'm talking about giving up future pieces at a moment when the present hasn't even stabilized yet. And here comes a comparison nobody likes, but needs to be made. The Atlanta Braves in 2025. A talented team, competitive, slowly eroded by injuries, quietly, gradually, until one day they realized they'd been chasing the season the whole time. Toronto is dangerously close to that script. Not identical, not yet, but the early pattern is the same. And that changes how you view this potential move. Because it's no longer, let's improve a strong team. It's, let's try to salvage something that started breaking too early. Those are very different conversations. Now think about it. Plainly, what does Toronto gain with Alcantara? Stability, immediate depth, a functional ace at a critical moment. Someone who eats innings, protects a bullpen, and restores confidence to the rotation. What do they lose? Future flexibility, likely young talent, and margin for error. Because if even with Alcantara, the team doesn't click, then you've committed part of your future to a season that never found itself. And that happens more often than people admit. But there's also the human side of this. Pressure. Fans are already feeling it. 2 weeks in and there's frustration. Doubt. That uncomfortable feeling of, this wasn't supposed to happen. inside the clubhouse, it hits even harder because they know what this team was supposed to be. And when you lose piece after piece, tension creeps in. Quietly, internal pressure builds. That urgency that was never part of the original plan. And that's when big decisions get made. Not just out of strategy, but emotion too. And here's the moment that defines everything. Toronto has to decide, right now, what they are in 2026. A patient team that trusts its injured players to come back, accepts a rough start and builds over time, or an aggressive team that sees early chaos and answers with a major move. Because going after Alcantara isn't an adjustment, it's a statement. It's saying, we're not waiting. And that changes everything. It changes how the market sees you, how the roster responds, the level of pressure moving forward. If it works, you suddenly become one of the most dangerous teams in the league. If it doesn't, you already know how that story usually ends. Now I want to hear from you. If you're watching the start, feeling the weight, seeing this roster unravel before it even finds rhythm, do you make that trade? Or do you hold even with everything catching fire? Because that decision won't wait until June. It's already started.